Ta-da! Hello! Hey everybody, welcome to another Monday night mini medicine card readings. And there we go, shift my screen so you don't see the curtain or the man behind the curtain. So welcome everybody, I'm getting set up here. Come on in, relax, and we'll do some readings. So, welcome. If you're new, welcome. And as I say, if you're old, welcome. If you're a newcomer, welcome. If you're someone who's been here for a while, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your presence and your persistence and your support, definitely. Thank you so much. I am just lit my little candle and I'm lighting a little bit of sage to give my cards a good smudge. Before starting, all right. Ooh, lots of smudge. All right. All right. So, in case you haven't been here before, what we are doing tonight, I'm Patrick. I am the owner of Perching Wolf Studios, which is either the Facebook page or the YouTube channel that you are currently watching. And I actually started this I've been doing this for a year. Can you believe that? It was about a year ago that I got laid off from my day job because of the pandemic. And that was kind of my signal that it was time to go full-time shaman. So then I started, because of the pandemic, I started doing these card readings. Hey, Kelvin. I figured Monday, I started doing them earlier in the afternoon at the beginning of the pandemic because a lot of people were home then and I was home then. Kind of gave people something to do, to look forward to. And I wanted to give people a little helping of guidance for their week to come. So I started doing that, and then I actually got a gig at a local metaphysical store down in Tacoma called Crescent Moon Gifts. If you're ever in the area, it's an awesome store. I do readings down there every other Monday, and so I had to shift my Monday mini medicine card readings to the evening to give myself a chance to get home and give myself a chance to get something to eat and refresh myself before jumping back into more readings. So anyway, and so these are the cards I use, the medicine cards. They have different totem animals on them, and it's similar to doing like a tarot reading, except that instead of the arcana and the archetypes and all of that stuff, I am working with the spirits of the animal guides. And for me, the cards are just kind of the launching pad. They're kind of like just the jumping off point. because then as a shaman, I connect with the spirits of the animals. I always do that. I don't know what that means. I guess reaching for spirit. But I kind of connect with the spirit of those animals to get deeper or more personal messages for people. And I have had a deck of medicine cards since like the late 80s. And so this is not the same deck I had back in the 80s, mind you, but so I've had these cards for a really long time. I'm rather familiar with them, and even before I'd even heard the word shaman, before I knew what shamanism was, I was working with these cards. And I'm still, after all that time, I'm still learning. Like, it seems like they're constantly giving me new aspects of the animal's medicine that I hadn't thought of before, or kind of show it in a different light, or a different nuance, or something totally different that I'll get done with a reading and I have to go Google it to make sure that the information was accurate, because they'll just tell me to say things and then I have to go look it up, Google it, make sure, okay, yep, it does say that that does happen or whatever. So anyway, so what we do, how this works, is I will pull, I'm saying to keep shuffling, okay. I will pull 3 cards, and I will lay them here on the table before me, and I will go through them one at a time and give you the meaning, what they mean, what the message is, etc., etc. And your job is to choose a number between 1 and 3, or a couple of numbers, or all 3 numbers, because it is an infinite, abundant universe, and you are the master of your own reality, and you can have whatever you desire. So you can choose 1, 2, or all 3 cards, and I will read out, and whichever card corresponds to the numbers you chose, that is your guidance for this week. And that's why I started doing this. I kind of lost track of my story earlier, but I started doing this on Mondays so that people had kind of a little scooch of guidance for the week. So they had something to kind of look forward to on a Monday, which is not usually people's most happiest day of the week. So I hope this helps you. I hope you enjoy it, and feel free to share. Oh, hey Nadia, good to see you. Can't wait to come see your new gazebo. So here we go. Did you choose your numbers? 1, 2, or 3? All right. So number 1. If 1 is your number, you drew owl. I have to show you something. It's on the other side of the curtain. Don't look behind the curtain. Don't look behind the curtain. Ah! Sorry. Okay. So, owl has been very significant for me recently. As some of you know, I took a little break a couple, 2-3 weeks ago or something to go hang out in the woods at a friend's cabin, and I got there. Me and my fiance, she joined me for the first part of it. I got there, and there was this little bag of things that the host didn't really want, and one of those things, it's not real. It's not it's a replica, so it's not illegal, but it is an owl skull. And that whole week, I was there for 4 or 5 days, and owl just kept showing up and showing up. And that was the first, I walk into the cabin and boom, owl was waiting for me. And throughout the entire week, I kept hearing owl, and there was one time, it was one of the most magical things I've ever experienced. I was out after dark in the woods under this great big cedar tree. I might have talked about this already, doing pipe ceremony, and I started singing a song that I do in ceremony, and I would sing part of the song, and all of a sudden I would hear an owl answering me, and then I would start singing again, and then the owl would answer me. I had this sing-along, this sing back and forth with an owl. It was so magical and powerful. Anyway, so that doesn't help you, though. So what does owl mean? Owl is about seeing in the dark. That was the theme of that week. One of the goddesses that I work with is Kali Ma, and so I journeyed to her to ask her about that week, and she was like, you know, you're a shaman. A shaman is, one of the definitions of shaman is one who sees in the dark. And so, and she said, sometimes you have to seek the dark. You have to seek out the dark in order to see the light. And so it was kind of that whole idea of retreating from the world, cutting off outside stimulation and information, and kind of going dark so that you could tune inward to see what's actually there. Owl has as good of eyesight as eagle does, only owl sees at night. Owl sees in the dark. And so there's more of a, owl has more of a, eagle tends to be more masculine, you know, sun, masculine, external, all of that. Well, owl is in the dark, so there's more of that feminine energy, the mystery, that creation. So owl helps us to see to the heart of the matter, to see through the dark. And like I was just saying, owl is a magnificent hunter. And one of the reasons she is because she's totally silent. Sometimes she is called the bird of deception, because owl's feathers are the only ones that they make no flapping noise. The edges of owl's feathers are softer. They don't have an edge. So like other feathers, if you kind of flap them like they were wings, you hear that flap, flap, flap. But an owl wing, you don't hear anything. It doesn't disturb the air the way it other ones do. And so there's this sense of silence, and you know, they call it deception, but at the same time, what that means is that when you see what you want, you can get it, whatever it is. Like, owl sees through the dark, sees the mouse, swoops onto it and gets the mouse without the mouse even knowing that she was there. And so owl is about that stealth, but it's not stealth out of needing to hide yourself to protect yourself or anything. It's more of, you're the master of your ship. You don't need to justify yourself to anyone. You don't have to tell everyone what you're after, what you're doing, what your aims are, what your dreams are. It's nobody's business but you. And you don't need to justify that by expressing it. You can just do your thing silently, and it doesn't matter who knows it and who doesn't. And bringing in that the word justify, the fact you don't need to justify yourself. The other side of that is that owl is the totem of Athena, the goddess of war and justice in ancient Greece. And she is the one credited with giving us our justice system. She was the goddess of law and order, of democracy, of the republic. And it was Owl that helped her, helped her to be able to distinguish, to discern truth from fallacy, because Owl could see through the darkness. Owl could see through any clouds of sabotage or subterfuge or whatever to the truth of the matter. And so, justice is based on truth. And with Owl on her shoulder, Athena could always see the truth of the matter. So, if this is your card, okay, that's interesting. It's your sense, how do I put this? It's your sense of justice that makes it unnecessary for you to justify yourself to others. Does that make sense? That just came to me, like talking about learning new things all the time. That's what they just told me. It was like, because you can see in the dark, because you can see beyond any illusion or facade or smoke and mirrors that anyone puts up, you can see straight to the heart of things. You know what's true. You know what's not true. And it's because of that core truth of you that you can be self-assured that what you do is right, that what you do is based on truth. I have these times that I call them my golden lasso moments, when like something that I always either took for granted or really believed strongly comes into question, and it's like, am I really doing the right thing? Wait, am I just trying to get away with something? Am I taking the easy way out? Blah, 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 all that mental noise and stuff. And then I have to do what I call a golden lasso moment. And in one of the Justice League of America comics, they have Wonder Woman on Themyscira above this cliff above the ocean, and she's got her lasso in her hands, and the lasso of truth that compels people to speak the truth. And she put it around her own neck in order to double check herself, to be accountable to herself, to make sure that what she was doing and who she was based on absolute truth. And I have these golden lasso moments when I have to check in with myself, see to the heart, see into my own heart, and make sure that I am speaking, I am acting, I am living from the truth of myself. And then, as long as I know I'm coming from my heart, everything else is okay. I don't need to answer. I don't need to justify. I don't need to ask permission of anybody. As long as it's coming from my heart, it's perfectly okay. So, give yourself credit for your moral compass, and the moral compass doesn't mean good versus evil. It's not choosing good over evil. There's no this world is a non-dual world. There seems to be duality. There seems to be duality, separation, and we tend to interpret that as good and bad, good and evil. But the only things that exist is, well, it's not good and evil, it's love and fear. And love is actually the only thing that exists. Fear is fallacy. And so it's about truth or fallacy. And when you have the truth, no illusion of fallacy will succeed against you. It's like there is only truth. And so that's why we spend so much time trying to shed those false beliefs, those beliefs that we are nothing, that there's something wrong with us, that we're less than divine, or, you know, all those things that people have taught us, that have told us, that have judged us, to say that we're these, you know, lesser beings, that we have to earn our way in the world. That is false beliefs. That is false thinking. And so Owl comes along to help us see through the darkness of all those false beliefs, all those things that keep us acting small. All, you know, it's like they talk about with the patriarchy, you know, religion and governments, and fear is their instrument of destruction. Fear is, they wield fear like a sword. They hang it over people's heads. They're like, well, if you do this, this is going to happen. And so they give this false sense of that you are not powerful and I am, and you don't want to cross me. You got to keep all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, or we're coming for you and you're gonna die, blah blah blah. And fear is false. Fear is the absence of love. Love is the only power in the universe. There is only one source in the universe, and it is a source of well-being. It is a source of love. Fear is closing off from that source, refusing to see the love, a fear of that it's not, it's kind of a ignoring the truth, ignoring the love that's present. You know, and when we're taught to see through those lenses of fear, that colors our entire view on the world, on the universe, on other people, and creates more sense of separation, good and evil, and I have to do that or else I'm going to die, I'm going to be punished, or all of that kind of stuff. And love is the only truth. Love is the only power in the universe. Fear does have its purpose, because fear is the seed of courage. So without fear, there cannot be any courage. That is the real purpose of fear, is it's a springboard for us to attain greater consciousness, greater strength, greater courage to do what we need to do. And so in that way, it actually serves a purpose. But if we are living in fear, if we're living in survival mode, then there's not a lot of room for love. There's not a lot of room for connection. There's not a lot of room for unification. And so that's why it's so important in today's world to like really concentrate on those things where we empower other people. The more people who are empowered, who can move out of fear, at least 51% love and 49%, like even just that little bit, just a more percentage of love than fear, then the world begins to wake up, and then you begin to see the connections, and then you realize there is nothing to fear, that Every person is just as powerful as you, and you're just as powerful as everyone else. There is no one more powerful than you. The only power in your life is your relationship and your connection to Creator, to original source. Like I said, the source of well-being. And we are either open to that, allowing that to flow through us, or we close off from it, which means then that's when we start to wither and die and wilt and all of that. So, okay, Owls just said, darkness is your ally. It is nothing to be feared. The dark is not evil. Dark is the cosmic womb of the cosmic mother. The dark is where all things are created. Every possible reality, every possible outcome, every possible thing exists in the darkness. And so Owl gives us the ability to see into that darkness, to focus on what it is that we want, as the great hunter that she is, to zero in on that and grab that and bring it into the light. So the darkness is your ally, because in the darkness all reality exists. Every possibility exists in the dark. And so it's a time of adventure. It's a time of dreaming. What do I want in my life? And then to go for it. The other message for Owl is, this was another way Owl appeared to me on my cabin retreat. I actually found an owl pellet. There wasn't really anything in there, or at least anymore, but owls, they will eat their prey whole, like a mouse or a gopher or whatever. They just eat it whole. And then there's stuff like in their digestive system, it will accept the things that feed the owl, that the owl can digest and use, and then it will pack together the things that it doesn't, that it can't use, and basically kind of like a cat having a hairball, the owl will regurgitate those pellets. It's like pellets of fur and bone and teeth and skulls and different things. And so don't be afraid to live your life whole. Don't be afraid to take everything, because what you need will stick and what you don't need will be repelled away. It's kind of like that. There was that parable in the Bible, if I can remember correctly, about, you sow the seeds wherever you go. And some of the seeds land in fertile soil and those ones bloom, and other seeds fall on non-fertile ground and they just die. It's kind of like that. It's like, just take it all in, and what feeds you will stick with you. What isn't necessary won't find root in you. Like, especially as we grow and evolve and begin to really raise our frequency. Once you raise your frequency, those things of a lesser frequency can't even get in. And so if you take it in the whole existence, the whole situation, event, whatever it is, there's things that won't even, if there are any, I'm stumbling over my words again. If there is anything that would at other times be harmful or toxic or anything like that, You either won't, they won't be able to approach you. You won't be aware of those things because they're not part of your reality. Someone else coming into the same situation from a lower frequency might have to deal with those kind of things. But again, it's as we connect to Creator and we open to that flow of divine energy, our lives tend to flow and things fall into place, and we don't have all the obstacles that other people might. That's why it is so important to empower everybody we can, because the more people living in that flow, the higher we raise the frequency of the planet, and the better and better life gets. The more and more respect and love and honor, and the better we all do, the better we all do. So Owl is coming along. If you feel you're in the darkness this week, call on Owl. Ask Owl if you can borrow her sight to see what is the gift in this darkness. Why am I here? What am I hunting? And find that little yummy mouse or whatever it is in the darkness, to see to the truth of the matter, to have clarity in the darkness where normally there would just be confusion. Okay? I hope that makes sense. I hope that explains. All right, so number 2, if 2 is your card, you got Jaguar, a Jagular. Jaguar is a powerful one. Jaguar, in a word, is about integrity. Another huntress. Jaguar is authentic. She has no pretenses. There's no mind games. There's no subterfuge. What you see is what you get, right? And she doesn't need to pretend because she's so powerful. And that's kind of part of that message, is that we're constantly trying to second guess ourselves. Like, what do I need to do to be more powerful or be more active in the world, to be a better vehicle of change in the world? And so we're constantly trying to change ourselves and figure out how we fit in, or what's the best way to fit to do these things, when it's only from your authenticity that real change can be made. That is your superpower. You know, I went to the river today to do pipe ceremony, and I got this message, and it could have been right from Jaguar's mouth. It was talking about, we believe that purpose lies in action. But what if our purpose lies in who we are, not what we do? Excuse me, that really choked me up. But what if purpose does not lie in action? When we think about purpose, we're looking for a mission, we're looking for an assignment, we're looking again to a power outside ourselves to tell us what to do. But what if our purpose is just to be our most pure and authentic self that we can, and to continue to peel back, again, the fallacies and the inconsistencies of our belief systems and our self-judgments. Thank you, love. Water. From my lovely assistant. Good stuff. All right. Excuse me for that. So, what if our purpose is in who we are? Who you are. When we come into this world, we bring with us a unique frequency. I'm always talking in frequency and energy and stuff, but there is something that sets you apart from everyone else and everything else in the universe. There is some unique tone or frequency that is yours and yours alone. That is your purpose. If you did nothing your entire life but expressed that true inner self, that true frequency, that would be enough to change the world. People are always looking for, and when I do card readings, people are like, well, what's my purpose? I'm trying to figure out what my purpose is, as if someone else could tell them, as if someone else could assign them. This is your mission. Go west, young man, or whatever. And purpose comes from who you are. Again, it goes back to aligning with spirit. It's when we're aligned with spirit, the spirit carries us. We don't have to make the effort. We don't have to do the work. I mean, it's a co-creative. We steer the ship. We say what we want. We set the intentions. And then the energy carries us there. And so when we're in alignment with Great Spirit, and that's the other thing too, it's like the saying, what is that saying about not mine, but God's will be done? What if they're the same thing? What if God's will is your will? What if God gave you these unique frequencies, these unique talents, these unique things to geek out about because that was what he wanted you to do? It's that simple. The things that bring you joy, that's your compass. Do what brings you joy. And so when you're in alignment with spirit, when you're in alignment with Creator, that is your purpose. And everything you do from that point of being, is inspired action. That is your art. That is your creation. That is your purpose. It is the expression of that uniqueness that is within you. That is your purpose. So, that is really a different, that is not what I normally talk about when Jaguar comes up, but that's what she was telling me tonight. I don't usually talk about purpose so much, but, and it all, sometimes I feel like I keep just saying the same thing over and over and over again, but in different words. I mean, every single card, every single animal, I could give the same message, because it's all about that alignment. It's all about aligning with Source. And then, like Jaguar, she's a cat. She's soft and cuddly, likes to roll around and cuddle and look cute, and, so graceful in their movements. It's almost like they dance with every move. Hi, Kit Kat. We're just talking about cats. Come on. Here's my own personal Jaguar, Kira. She heard us talking about her. But, so, it's the claws and the teeth, the hardness, that allows the softness to thrive. And so, when we have our purpose, when we have that alignment, when we're as authentic, pure, and innocent as we possibly can be, then we need to take care of that. The integrity comes in boundaries. That's where integrity lies. Integrity lies in your saying no to people rather than always saying yes. If you're constantly saying yes, then you're spreading too thin. You don't know where you end and where the other people start. You have boundaries. You know when to say yes and when to say no. And again, your heart is the authority of that. And so it's that no, it's the claws, the teeth, the drawing the line, saying no. And like I always say, no is a complete sentence. You don't owe anyone an explanation or a justification. But if you do feel like saying something, it's like, no, not today. No, I don't feel that right now. Or no, I can't, I don't have the energy, whatever. But it is having boundaries. Boundaries are necessary for integrity. Because otherwise, that frequency that's uniquely your own gets homogenized and gets spread out and gets caught in everything else, and then just begins to reflect all the other vibrations and frequencies around it. It has no life of its own. And so you are meant to be an entity, an integral part of the greater matrix of the earth, of the universe. And the only way you can do that is to have boundaries. And so it's one of those things that people get that stumble on all the time, and that it's one of those things that I kind of almost don't like it when it comes up, because I don't know how to really put it into words. But it sounds selfish, but like to take care of yourself, to hold sacred those boundaries of self-care, of what you need. That's what actually helps to heal the world as well. Compassion without limits is annihilation, or something like that. There was a quote. I'm no good at quotes, but compassion without limits, without boundaries, is self-annihilation. You're basically giving your power away to everything but yourself. But the world needs you to be who you are. And like I always say, Jaguar is the queen of the jungle. But not the hierarchical kind of queen. Not the royalty that sits at the top of the pyramid and looks down on the peons that make up the base and foundation of the pyramid. Jaguar is at the top of the circle. She sits up on the top of the circle. She's the queen of the jungle being the circle of life around her, the trees, the plants, the animals. And the only way to be a good queen is to take care of her own well-being. Because as she takes care of her own well-being on the top of the circle, it just spreads out into the rest of the circle and makes sure that all the others are in well-being. It's like that thing about the wolves being reintroduced to Yellowstone, and how to have the predators there. Like, you know, there were no boundaries. The deer and the elk and the buffalo were trampling down all the vegetation. They were overeating all the vegetation. The rivers were losing their integrity because there weren't as many root systems to hold the banks in place. Plus, they were getting trampled down in all kinds of different areas. There were no paths. It was just like... and then when the wolves came in, creating that what do I want to say? Kind of holding the case of that space, holding sacred space, being kind of the purveyors of life and death, being the predators. The entire park changed. Like the environmental health of the park rebounded. The rivers got their integrity back because the vegetation wasn't being overeaten, overgrazed, and the herd animals were just coming down to the rivers in certain places where they weren't as exposed to the predators. And so the vegetation rebounded, the rivers rebounded, the herd animals rebounded because they didn't have as many mouths to feed. It was just well in balance because of the presence of the wolves. And so Jaguar is the queen of her jungle, and taking care of herself, she takes care of the entire circle. You can't have a part of a circle that is better off than the rest of it. It's a circle. It's part of one system. And so by taking her duty to the rest of the circle is to take care of herself and to see to her own well-being, and that translates into the well-being of the whole. So take care of yourself, see to your own well-being, learn to say no, and know that you matter. You are the queen of your jungle. You are the creator of your reality. And no one in your life is more important than you are. You are the priority. And it's not like, oh, you're not worth it, or, I'm more important than you. It's, I need to take care of myself. Otherwise, I'm not there for you either. So take care of yourselves. Between the first two cards, there is a lot of fierceness. Don't be afraid to be fierce. Don't be afraid to hunt down what you want, what you desire. Because you don't need to justify yourself, and you don't need to ask permission. If you have the desire, if it's this heartfelt desire, if it's from truth and alignment, then that thing, that object of desire is your birthright. It's what you were meant to do or have or be. Okay? All right, number 3. Another house favorite, Dragonfly. So, if you've been on here for a while, you've probably heard the story, but I'm going to tell it again. There's a story with Dragonfly that once upon a time, there was this big, mighty, all-powerful dragon. And he was so magic and strong and powerful that, like most dragons, he was very arrogant, and he liked to boast about his accomplishments, about his powers, about the magic feats that he had done. And one day, Coyote had enough of his bragging and thought somebody had to take him down a notch. And knowing of no one that was more qualified than himself, he decided to take the task on for himself. So Coyote goes up to this big, powerful dragon, says, I bet you're not powerful enough to make yourself that big. The dragon laughed in his face and turned himself into a dragonfly to prove his might. But when the dragon turned into the dragonfly, he got caught in his own illusion and believed he was just this frail little body. He still had all the magic and the power that he ever had before, because this was just an illusion. This was just a facade. But he got into believing that that illusion was the truth. Here we come back to that whole theme of tonight, truth and fallacy, right? And so he put his belief and his faith in the illusion rather than the truth of his being, and got caught. So when Dragonfly comes along, the message is to not get caught by the illusions of the world. Don't get caught in believing that you are just this physical body. Like I said before, you have thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You have emotions. You are not your emotions. You have a body, but you are not your body. You are beyond the body. You are the one who has thoughts, who has feelings, who has a body. And I just actually had a great class with some of my students recently, where we learned how in shamanism, there's a thing that we call the dismemberment journey. And it can be really startling if you don't know what's happening. If it happens spontaneously and you have no context, you don't know what's going on, can be really kind of scary. But it actually has a purpose. And what happens is one or some of your guides actually will tear you apart in the journey. And it's painless. Number one, it's painless, so there's no pain. And it's basically like, the way I like to explain it is it's kind of like the transporter system on Star Trek. It's like it molecularizes you and then remolecularizes you someplace else. But it takes all your molecules apart and then puts them all back together. That's what a dismemberment is in a journey. It's like they basically take the image of your physical, because when you're in the journey, when you're between the worlds, you're not your physical body. It's just like an image of who you are that you carry with you. And so to have your guides disintegrate that or to take that away, and then you're still there with no form, is really, really powerful. That's the point of the dismemberment journey. One of the points of the dismemberment journey. It could also be to kind of a reboot, like to take yourself apart so they can put you back together stronger, or actually, they can actually give you things like stones, crystals, or qualities or powers that they can infuse into all of that as they reassemble you, remember you. So know that you are not your physical body. You are so much more, that if your physical body just poof, you would still be here. You are that which animates the body. You are that which has thoughts. And if you meditate, that's another good lesson from Dragonfly. To meditate, and the point of meditation is not to still your mind, not to stop the thoughts, but it's to observe the thoughts and feel that detachment, to realize that you're the one observing the thoughts. You're like the sky, and the thoughts are just flowing through you. They're just like clouds flowing through the sky, and you don't need to attach to any of them. You can just watch them, because your identity, your integrity, is not dependent on the illusion of the thoughts. So with all three of these, the message really is about integrity and about believing in yourself, getting in touch with your deep self. Get in touch with your heart, the heart of you that knows, the heart of you that will speak to you of connection, of unification, that you are part of the universe. You are an integral part of the universe. The world and the universe would not be the same if you were not here. So the body, even though it is an illusion, again, that illusion does have a purpose. If you were to show up to all your friends in all your full glory, they would freak the heck out. They would run for the hills. They'd start crying and weeping. And so the physical body, the illusion of the body, is an interface. It gives you a focus, gives someone else the focus to be able to relate to. And that's really what's at the heart of of Namaste. The divine in me greets the divine in you, because you're seeing from your heart through the darkness of the illusion to the heart of the other, the divinity in you to the divinity of the person in front of you. And yet you have the smile, you have the words, you have the hug, whatever, to connect in a different way, to relate to each other. So when we're talking to each other, it's kind of like the divine talking to itself. It's like God talking to him or herself. Because the true illusion is separation. We're all part of the same energy. And so I was going to say don't ever, but that's kind of unrealistic. So as best you can, as many times as you can, bring your mind back to the realization that you are divine, that you are powerful, that you are worthy, that you are the essence of love and light. Nothing else is true. And as you can affirm that to yourself more and more, as you can actually start to believe that more and more, you will see that reflected more and more in your outward reality, right? Because the seen world springs from the unseen world. What we see outside of ourselves springs from inside of ourselves. And that goes back to my favorite quote from Einstein that I can never get right, but basically, the greatest decision you'll ever make is whether you live in a friendly universe or a hostile one. Because if you believe you live in a friendly universe, you will see love, you will see God, you will see the divine everywhere and in everything. And everything then has a purpose. Everything then, even the problems, become puzzles to be solved. They become means to growth. But if you live in a hostile universe, everyone is your enemy. Everyone is separate from you, and you have to watch yourself. You have to fight for what you want. It's you versus them. If they get it, then you lose out. If you get it, they lose out. So let the best person win. Let the strongest survive. Blah, blah. Who wants to live in that world? And like Wayne Dyer talks about, people who live from a place of love live in a loving world. Those who live from a place of fear live in a hostile world. Same world. The only difference is our perception of it. And quantum physics, scientifically, they have proven that perception changes reality. And so when you perceive something from the place of love, you're going to see love. You're going to see the connections. You're going to see the breadcrumbs leading you to your highest fulfillment. If you live from fear in a hostile universe, everything that happens is going to be suspect. Everything is going to have to be guarded and figured out. And even then, it's kind of like grudgingly taking a step forward because you don't know if you can trust it or not. Why would you do that to yourself? And the thing is, even if you believe you live in a hostile universe, like I said, love is the only reality. Love is the only power in the universe. That's how powerful love is, that if you believe in a hostile universe, the universe is going to say yes, and it's going to show you a hostile universe. But the thing is, it takes that much time. I can't snap. Never mind. Remind me never to try that again. In the snap of a finger, your universe can change. A perception can change, and that's all that is necessary for your world to change. It's the world. Everything in the world is neutral. We are the ones who give it value. We're the ones who say good or bad, but things out there are just neutral. And so when you start to look from the place of love, the physical objects and things and whatever may not change, but you will have a greater perception. That is another message from Dragonfly Medicine, because they have those multifaceted eyes. They can literally see in every direction at the same time. And so when you open your eyes to all those perspectives, then you can't be pinned down to just one reality. Everything becomes love. Everything becomes connected. There's no, like they talk about the astronauts when they first went to the moon and were able to look back at the earth. And it's like, it was like a spiritual experience because there were no lines. It's like it was one world. And so when you get that, they could see the connection of the world. There was no separation. And so with that greater perspective of Dragonfly being able to see all things and how everything panoramically is connected, then you can't fall into fear. And I just had another flash. I usually try to keep this to an hour or under, but there was this great, it started as a comic book. It was a Superman comic. And they made like a movie, like an animated movie out of it called All-Star Superman. And the basic premise of it was that Lex Luthor, Superman's arch nemesis, was able to somehow gain equal power to Superman. And he did that so that he could destroy Superman, right? The thing is, when he got that power of Superman, when he was able to see the way Superman sees and hear the way Superman hears, to perceive everything, he could see the quantum effects of things. He could see how all things were connected, and he could no longer fight Superman because he realized that he was the same, that there was no separation. And I love that. It's like the more powerful he became, we try to become powerful, power over. We try to gain power so he can be better than the next guy. But if you hit the peak of that power, all of a sudden you realize that there isn't anything to be more powerful than. That when you become that powerful, you can see the quantum entanglement. You can see how everything is atomically connected and part of the same system, so that there is nothing more to fight. And that is one of my favorite metaphors. That's why I love Superman. Other than Wonder Woman, he's probably my favorite superhero. So, and that's part of the reason, because it's all about the sight and perception. And anyway, that's beyond the point. But anyway, so open your eyes. All three cards tonight. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. All three cards are about integrity. They're all about seeing. All three of these are hunters. Dragonfly is one of the greatest hunters in the animal world as well. So okay, here's the message of all three cards. Live unapologetically. You don't need permission. When you live from your heart, you're living from the same energy that gave birth to the universe. You're living from the same energy that connects every person, every living thing to that same creative source. And so anything you do from your heart is right, is true, is beautiful. So look and find what it is you want and hunt it down. It is yours. It is meant to be a part of you. Live your best life unapologetically. Like a friend of mine, my lovely, beloved friend Pixie, told me a long time ago, own your space. You are not in the way. You are here for a purpose. The fact that you are here means that you have purpose here. And so you are never in the way. You are always where you are meant to be. Take up as much space as you need. There's enough room for everybody. When they're coming from their heart, when they're in their empowerment, there is always room. Okay? So, my friends, I believe that is it for tonight. Thank you for joining me for another Monday mini medicine card reading. I so appreciate your presence here. Thank you, especially those who are been coming for like almost an entire year now. Means a lot to me, and it really does, and I can feel the reciprocity of the energy back and forth, so I really appreciate that. Feel free to share this video. I will upload it to my Facebook page and to my YouTube video, Perching Wolf Studios YouTube video. And remember that, if this is called to you, feel free to consider having a personal reading with me. You get 5 cards or more, at least 5 cards, I'll put it that way. You get at least 5 cards, all kind of working together. They kind of talk and interact together, and all directed straight at you for what you need to know at this moment in time. And this is what I'm meant to do. This is my purpose, is to guide others to their own empowerment, to guide others on their path, to find the voice of their own heart, to find what empowers them, because we're in this together and we all support each other in everybody's success. We want everybody to succeed. And so the greater I can help empower you, the more I'm doing my job. So let me help you if I can. If there's anything, you can check out my website at perchingwolfstudios.net to see what, besides the readings, there's other shamanic services I offer, soul retrievals, etc. And it is my greatest joy to be able to help and to empower. So check out my website, share this video. Meet me back here next Monday. Invite your friends. I have another live video on Wednesday nights, if you didn't know, where I do a sacred pipe ceremony just to create a sacred and safe space for people to come in and just to pray, to sit, meditate, whatever, just to connect to the divine in the sacred space of this very, very sacred ceremony. So you can join me Wednesday night at 7 for that. And otherwise, I believe that is it. So thank you again so much for joining me. I so appreciate your presence here. And until next time, I love you, I see you, and I honor you. So a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week. I will see you again soon. So until then, go shining. All right, bye.